these lives cut out every once in a while, making it difficult to hear. But this is a public service announcement on the 2nd of January, about 4 minutes to 5 o'clock, for the president and CEO of Chris O'Reilly, who apparently is running BC Hydro. So we've got a problem, Chris. I'm going to show you my identification. You're listening to me. This is me here. I'm the woman speaking to you. And the address on this identification is in trust private property that's been stolen by application and title fraud in 2018 by a coven in Kamloops called Fulton and Company and a coven in Victoria here called Cox Taylor, who are employed by criminal organization CIBC. Now, you're going to be seeing a bunch of documents in the description box of BitChute and YouTube, which is where this live post is going to end up going. So this is the trust. This is a private trust. Gerald Wayne Jack Daly is my spouse, and I am the trustee. I'm the controller of this estate, as you can well see here, and you now have my identification, which I just showed you. So this is the date of this trust, and this is our original real estate listing. We purchased that home in January, well, we took possession January 2003, so for the last 20 years, that property's been possession of my family, and it's stolen. It's been stolen. So, Chris, I'm going to give you some directives now that you are required to follow. But before I do that, I need to let you know that you, as a public servant, have duties, obligations, and responsibilities. Have you ever read the Act for the Preservation and Enhancement of Multiculturalism in Canada, Chris? So you need to be aware of that document because it's quite clear that every, I have equal, yeah, right. So apparently everyone's equal under the law and has the right to equal protection and benefit of the law without discrimination. Right. And have you read the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination? Because there's a problem. Chris, there's a problem because of my race. That's why I've had the house stolen and all the money embezzled. And left homeless and destitute for the last 3 years. Right? So you need to understand those are your responsibilities, duties, and obligations. You also need to be aware of your duties, obligations, and responsibilities pursuant to the International Convention on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights and the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Because I'm going to give you some directives and you have to follow them because there's a problem. Now, I've been trying to receive service and protection from a number of public service agencies in British Columbia, and the persons acting as those public service agencies are violently, viciously attacking me relentlessly instead of assisting. So what you need to be aware of is this is my Instagram. Now, this is my home here, and this is me doing a live post outside my home at the end of October. Here's me doing another live on Instagram outside my home. Now, the trespassers have been notified repeatedly that they are trespassing, and they've been asked to leave. They're refusing to leave. So this is one of the correspondences that were dropped off. So they're fully and completely aware that they're trespassing. There's a fraudulent mortgage and a fraudulent title held on that property by Benjamin Howe and Sandra Dennis. 1474 Faircliff Lane in Victoria, BC. They've been aware since November the 27th, 2021, that they are in possession of stolen property. And yet, instead of giving up naked possession of that property, which they must do, they're continuing to harass me and call persons acting as a law enforcement to criminally harass, threaten, intimidate. It just goes on and on. And so what you're going to be doing, now listen, these documents are going to be placed in the description boxes of both YouTube and BitChute. So you can review these documents, and you must review these documents, right? Because injustice against one is injustice against all. Homes are being stolen twice a week. So there's going to be all sorts of proof for you that that's stolen property. Here's another document here. That's my spouse. Right? There you just saw a copy of the trust fund. This is his certificate of death. And then there's all sorts of explanations and proof presented to you, Mr. O'Reilly, that that property is stolen property and it's being utilized by trespassers. Right, so the trespassers do not hold a contract with me to utilize that stolen property. So what you're going to have to do, and this is effective immediately, so these are my directives to you. I, woman, Victoria, hold common law right to exclusive use of 604 Polantis Crescent, Victoria, BC. Persons acting as BC Hydro are notified no other persons utilizing that security have legal or lawful right to services provided by BC Hydro. Therefore, all accounts of trespassers, and if the hydro is in the name of Sandra Dennis and Benjamin Howe and or Howe Fam Holdings, those accounts are now closed. I'm closing them. And BC Hydro services are no longer provided to said criminals. These changes are effective immediately, January the 2nd, 2023. Failure to comply will result in criminal charges against you, Mr. Riley, and civil liability against you personally in your personal capacity. Do you understand? The only individual you can provide BC Hydro services to would be myself, because I am the beneficial holder of that property, and I am the only woman who can have benefit of that security. Do you understand? Now, if you're going to call me, and I'm not going to provide you my number, what you can do is you can email me. Let's see here, where's my... Here's my email address. Here's a letter that I've sent, a correspondence I've sent to public service agencies in the province pertaining to this situation. So you can see the email address is dolly73@protonmail.com. If you are going to call and discuss this matter, the call will be recorded for quality assurance and training purposes, and that call will be posted on social media. I've been out of my house for 3 years, relentlessly attacked by both Victoria and Saanich persons acting as law enforcement. Benjamin Howe and Sandra Dennis have known for over a year they are in possession of stolen property, and Scotiabank is also aware that that's stolen property. So, I don't care if you understand or not, you have to follow my directives. Do we understand each other? Chris O'Reilly, you're shutting off the hydro to that house, and you're shutting it off now. You can reimburse the trespassers and the criminals for whatever that they've spent. but you're no longer going to provide BC Hydro services to my stolen property. Right? So this is now going to be posted on Twitter. Right, and I'm going to tag the criminal David Eby. I'm going to tag the criminal Murray Rankin. I'm going to tag the criminal Mike Farnsworth. I'm going to tag the criminals acting as the BC Lawless Society. And I'll also tag the criminal David Lamenti, because they all know that that's stolen property. And like I say, there's documents that'll be posted in the description box of this public service announcement for you all to read, because I'm fully and completely aware of how banks increase their profits by 25 to 40% every year. It's by force and by fraud. It's called racketeering. It's a real problem in Canada. Homes are being stolen twice a week. And my house was stolen, Mr. O'Reilly, to facilitate money laundering. Shut the hydro off in that house. I'm the only woman who has the ability to put an account pertaining to BC Hydro on that property. Thank you very much, Mr. O'Reilly, for your immediate service and follow of the command you've been provided.